Welcome back to Kelowna Now. We're live. I'm Jason Mann, and joining me from Vision Plumbing and Heating is Brent. Brent, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So last time we left off, we talked a little bit about fall routines and some of the rebates and stuff. We'll cover a little bit of that ground, but I think today's show, what we really want to talk about is how people can prevent water and flood damage from affecting their home or their condo. And so we're going to get into that in 2 seconds. But before we do, we've got winter right here on our doorstep. It's calling for colder and snowier conditions than typical. Is there anything that people can do with their homes to just sort of prevent, freezing pipes or any of these sort of calamities that might happen when the weather turns?
Yeah, stating the obvious, definitely checking your furnace, checking your thermostat, checking your filter, making sure all those things are operational. And like we talked about last time I was here, is doing this before the cold snap comes. I know it's an obvious statement, but the reason I say that is because when the cold snap comes, everyone calls in, and then it's really hard to get a hold of a company like mine or other companies to come service you. So do that now, do that before December, do that before even November. And
you get that familiar dust smell as the furnace kicks on.
Yeah, I haven't smelled that for 9 months.
Yeah, that's a good sign. Okay, so Vision's water and flood protection system by Sedna.
Yes.
We wanted to kind of dig into that. Why don't we just start with what it is and how does it work?
Yeah, this is a very cool product. We've been promoting this for about 5 years now. And how this system works is this goes in place of your main water shutoff in your home or condo. Okay. So every home and condo has a water line coming in that services all your fixtures and should have a main shutoff. So in case of an emergency, if it works, you can shut that off to your whole home or condo. Yeah. What this does, it replaces that shutoff, and it's a motorized actuator. So that goes in place and becomes your new shutoff. Okay. Then it has these and the power of the system are in these water sensors, these Bluetooth wireless sensors that go in high leak areas. Like number one flood source in a home or condo is your dishwasher. Yeah. Number two is fridge, and then washing machine, hot water tank, toilets, vanities, etc. These Bluetooth sensors are then linked to your shutoff. So in the event you're there, you're not there, your dishwasher springs a leak, sends a signal to the main shutoff, shuts the water off to your entire home or condo, and then it'll text you and email you where the water loss occurred and that the water's been shut off to your unit.
Wow, that's amazing.
Pretty
okay,
cool.
So personally, I've had a problem with a dishwasher, and it was weird because the dishwasher wasn't even broken, but it still had a leak, which is a weird thing that happened. But anyways, lost the flooring, and we had continuous hardwood throughout the whole main floor, so all of it had to get replaced, which was a big bill. I know 3 other people in the last 4 years, so it's a little more common than people.
It's very common.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but some of the things that they've been manufacturing and making lately are not as high of quality as
we're
they used
seeing
to
that
be.
A lot since COVID. We see that a lot more. The frequency of floods, there's more and more, whether that be lack of skilled labor or quality of parts. We're seeing that more and more, especially in multifamily units, as they try and build those as fast as they can.
Yeah. So this can be an expensive proposition, an inconvenience beyond, obviously, as well. And we were talking before this, just some of the stories that you see, in your regular path and travels. Like the lagoon story.
So there was most people in Kelowna have been here for some years and are familiar with the lagoons and Dolphins Towers that were the premier buildings built about 30 years ago. They've had some issues in the past, but they had a water leak primarily that happened in the I believe it was the 17th floor. It was just a minor leak from a dishwasher, but it flooded all the way to the entranceway, and it was a multi-million-dollar claim from one dishwasher. So you got to think all those other units that got affected by that one little leak.
Oh, and not only that, but a $5 million claim, that's not going to just affect the insurer's insurance. That's going to affect
everyone in the building. Yeah, right? Everyone in the building.
And then there was an incident in Vernon where
it was actually Big White.
It
was actually a Big White at another really premier building, Stonegate. A lot of people are familiar with that. They had an issue. Actually, what it was a fire. It was the fire system that actually broke. What happened was most systems that go up are a dry system, meaning there's no water in the system unless there's an emergency. But what happened was the valve that feeds that dry system was slowly failing. So over the summer, the water went up throughout the system into the attic, because that's where the sprinkler lines are. It froze and burst and flooded half the building. And that was a loss of half the building, and it was a year and a half before people were able to move in. So a lot of those are short-term rentals. They were out of that rental income for that year. So they even though that was not preventable by our system, they did not want to run into a water issue again. Yeah. So they have that now in all 3 buildings up at Stonegate. They have our water and flood protection system throughout the building.
So obviously for strata, for apartments, condos, this is a huge lifesaver.
It's huge.
And if your neighbor doesn't have one, then you could be at risk as well.
Yeah.
But who is it for? Just regular homeowners as well?
Regular homeowners for sure, whether that's your home or a condo or townhome, but definitely for strata managers, property managers, it's huge for them because they don't want to have to deal with the repercussion of a major water loss because they're the one managing the building. So, because it can affect, one, of course, the people living there. Now you got to find a place while it's under restoration. But 2, it's the insurance. We're finding more and more buildings. Even my company, it's really hard to get insured because we're dealing with water all the time and we're considered high risk. Condos are considered high risk too because one flood can affect multiple units. So it's really imperative that property managers look at this system and look at maybe putting in, especially if it's an older building, 15 plus, 20 plus years old. The piping's getting older, the fixtures are getting older, more likely to have leaks. So this is a system that can save a lot of heartache for property managers and ownership.
Worst case scenario for a property, like what's the insurance premium on something?
I'm working with the building right now. I'm not going to name the building, but they went through an unfortunate event. Their deductible is $1 million. And what that means is they are out of pocket up to $1 million before the insurance kicks in. Wow. So, and it doesn't take much to do $50,000, $100,000 worth of damage from a leak. Look at what that one did at the lagoons, $4 million for a dishwasher leak.
Yeah.
So
the relative cost to install such a system versus the actual cost of what you would end up having to pay.
It's a no-brainer. And to roll into that is the benefit is most insurance companies are getting nice discounts for putting the system in. So if you're a condo owner and the condo decides to put this in on a whole, meaning most, if not all the units are covered with a system like this, the condo will get an insurance break and the owners of the condo will get an insurance break of their unit. So it can get it's like a double dip.
Well, what about home residential? Do you get insurance?
Absolutely. I have it in my personal home and I have it in a couple of my rental properties, and I believe it was about $260 back last year, and that will be every year. Consider it having like a good clean driving record, you get a discount. It's the same kind of thing. If you have no incidents for years and years, no water losses, you should be getting a discount. Right. What it does is it reduces your risk by up to 95% by having the system in.
Wow. Yeah. Is there anything else we need to know about the Vision Water and Flood Protection System by Sedna?
Not really. Just go to our website. I got a lot of good tutorial videos explaining walkthroughs, some of our past and present projects. And if you're looking for a price, just reach out to us by email or by telephone, and we can definitely come there and take a visit to your home and see what that looked like for you.
The one thing that you did say, I'll bring it back actually to this, is it's like a mesh network, right?
Yeah, so there's 2 systems. There's the residential system that would go in your residential home, your single family home. Then there's called a mesh system, which looks the same, but how it acts different is in a condo building, if you have a mesh system, meaning every unit talks to each other live. So as a building manager, he can pull this up on his laptop or his phone and see every single sensor live and in real time. Wow. So if a dishwasher comes offline or the batteries were dying or something like this, or something goes off, a water loss, he'd be alerted immediately on what unit, what location that's happening. It's pretty powerful. It's pretty cool. It's a very cool product.
Yeah, very much so. And it's relatively new. I mean, there's water monitoring systems, but is this like an advanced system? This
is an advanced system. This is a Canadian-made product, by the way, Sedna by Sanope. It's made out in Quebec.
That's awesome.
It's been around about 5 or 6 years, and every year they're improving the technology as well.
Great.
Yeah.
And you're an authorized dealer?
We're the only local factory authorized dealer in the Okanagan, so that means we get the best price for you.
Okay, let's do it. So if there's nothing else on that, which is an exciting, awesome product, one of the things that excites me, and it's just purely out of fantasy at this point for me, maybe until I build my dream home, but to never have to shovel snow again.
Hydronic heating, yes.
Hydronic heating. So, last time we talked, this is something that caught my eye with winter here again upon us. I'm very curious about hydronic heating, how it works, and who's it for?
Yeah, so hydronic heating, it definitely isn't for everyone because it wouldn't so much apply for condominiums and such, but for the homeowner, for the single-family homeowner, the great benefits are, one, if you have a driveway, you have to shovel again. But the main benefit is the comfort. I mean, forced air is just like you say, with your furnace, you are pushing air trying to heat up this way. Yeah. With hydronic, which is water source heat, you're heating up the water with a boiler. and then you have loops throughout your home, which is under your hardwood or under your laminate or what have you. And it's the most equal source heat there is available. So it's your whole house heating equally. There's no cold spots throughout your home, and whatever it touches, it heats. So furniture gets heated, you get heated, your feet get heated. So that's why when you go up to, a lot of times when you go up to like say Big White or Silver Star and you go to a chalet, you get that, you're like wondering why it's so cozy in there. A lot of those are heated hydronically.
Okay.
So that's why that's that cozy mountain feel, because a lot of those homes up there are heated by hydronics.
Does it make you more vulnerable for water and flood issues?
Not really, not unless you're driving things 3 inches through the floor. Because usually, typically, when you lay this, you have a skim coat of concrete. That's why you typically see these systems going in on a new build, not so much a retrofit, even though they can be retrofitted. Yeah. Cost is a little more to do so. So if you're looking at doing a hydronic system, I always encourage you to do it at the ground level when you're first building.
Is it more energy efficient as well as comfort?
Absolutely. So the reason where you get the energy efficiency out of it is because once you reach that temperature and the house is warm, it stays warm. Water holds heat really, really well. So you got those warm loops that are sitting in your floor. You don't need to keep heating them. They heat up the slab, which then disperses the heat equally and stays relatively warm throughout the whole day. So the boiler doesn't have to cycle on and off, on and off. So that's where you get the efficiencies.
Limits static electricity and all that stuff too, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah. A lot more comfortable. So let's say I can't afford the hydronics, or I'm not building a new home. What are the more easy, cost-efficient ways to be more fuel efficient, I guess?
Fuel efficient. If you're not going to go to hydronic, I mean that's why we have heat pumps too. Yeah. Like heat pumps are very, very efficient because they operate kind of similar to what hydronics operate. They operate more on a steady flow rather than on off. That's where you get the influx, and that's where you get the inefficiencies, the on, the off, the on, off. It runs more steadily, it runs more often, but it runs lower. It sucks less electricity by doing so. Whenever your system comes bang on, just like your car, that's where you suck the electricity. So because it's steady, that's where you save the amount of energy.
Okay. And there's still incentives for for that and for dual fuel?
Yes. I said this last time, I always encourage people, if the government's going to give back your money, take it. And they're basically paying for in most cases, half your system. So if you were going to go buy a car and someone was going to tell you the government's going to pay for half a brand new car, you'd be going to get in that brand new car. So I always encourage people, it's a $10,000 rebate for a dual fuel high efficient system that gets you a brand new high efficient heat pump and a brand new high efficient furnace. So it's dual fuel, so you got the luxury of both. So right now the government is offering that. We don't know how long that's going to be. I mentioned that last time. It's amount of money that they put in aside for this. Once it's used up, it's gone. So I encourage people to take advantage. If you are on the fence, give us a call. We'll walk you through the whole process.
I was going to say, I think there's probably a lot of people who just realize they need a new furnace or they need something installed in their home, and they're not necessarily even aware of the incentives and programs. Yep. And there are multiple sources of program incentives. It gets a little confusing out there. How can you help them? It
can be very overwhelming. So just reach out to us. Go to our website. There's a lot of information there. But if you have further questions, give us a call. Numbers on the website. Go to our Instagram. Go to our social media. Got tons of information, tons of useful videos there. But just give us a call. We'll walk you through step by step.
Okay, great. Yeah. Well, I hope you found this episode useful, informative, and by all means, if you have any concerns about water flooding, it is something that does seem to happen more often these days. By all means, give Brent and the team at Vision Plumbing and Heating a call, and of course, for any of your plumbing and heating needs. And I got to say, the maintenance program, the membership program, which we talked about last time, also very seems like a very strong program and something I can't imagine why we wouldn't do.
Yeah, if you don't like paying full price for things, get our Vision Elite membership. You'll never pay full price for any of our services.
Plus, you get front of the queue for service if it's a busy season.
You never pay an overtime call. You never pay an after-hours call, and a bunch of other really good things.
Like that is so worth looking into. And as you can tell, Brent is a fountain of knowledge, so good person to have on the Rolodex.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks again, Brent, for coming in, and thank you for watching Kelowna Now.